2, 1.
Welcome to Made for More Living.
One small step for man.
With Johnny Jennings.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
The fastest and most exciting hour of news, events, and real estate in Northern California.
And this is a fact that was proved.
Online at madeformorerealty.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Get ready. Here we go.
Matt, today the show has gone up a notch. It has improved. We have, normally I'm like hunting, I'm paying people to come on the show. Please come on, please just talk. But today we have an Amazon best-selling author on the show. And with us today is Chad Francis with Thrive Stewardship.
Hey, Johnny, good to be back. Thanks for having me. Good to see you too, Matt.
Amazon best-selling author.
Yes, for your book, and I'll hold it up, let me see, The Generosity Blueprint.
Yep, a faith-based guide to wealth management and impactful giving.
And not written by AI, right? There's a where's the thing?
Oh man, it's 2 or 3 pages in there, but yeah, it's got the official stamp written by a human. So
written by
you
Chad
get to have that
Francis.
fun accolade.
How long
It's
did
not
it take
AI
you? So how
produced.
many pages is it, Johnny? How many pages is it? How many chapters? How many pages?
152 pages.
900-page epilogue.
900-page epilogue, yeah. Oh, there it is. There it is. Certified written. I don't know if we
There
can
it
see
is.
this, but yeah.
I love that. So
Written
how long did
by
it take
human.
you to write this book?
A lot faster than I was thinking it was going to take. With sitting down, really just hashing out the details, working with a writing coach, from finally sitting down to the starting point to getting all the way through the end to where it went to final editing, it was under 4 months. So it was several hours a day, most days of the week, but not
That's
what I
so
thought.
freaking cool. I want to write a book. I don't even know what I'd write about.
Exactly. See, I
know?
think that's important. You have to be passionate about something in order to put that much time and energy into writing a book. So why, out of all the topics you could have written on, you decided on this one? Why are you so passionate about this topic?
Great question. Personal finance is a passion of mine, and helping people and teaching people about those topics. As an investment advisor, as a financial planner, it's what I do. And I think what led me to do that is that it was just my passion. And I love helping people with that. I love teaching people about it. And everything that I can put into that book to help people with that for the ultimate goal of being a more intentional and a more impactful giver, it just made sense that this should be the topic of my book.
So how hard was it? Like, so you wrote the book, took about 4 months. You had a team behind you, right? You weren't just figuring this out on your own. How hard was it to become an Amazon bestseller? Like, is that something? Let's just answer that question. How hard was that?
Sure. The hardest part was just notifying everyone that we had on our launch team. And so that's just sending information out to folks, letting them know, hey, in case you didn't know, I'm writing a book. I have a book coming out. Book's coming out soon. Watch this date. And just keeping everyone up on what's about to happen with the launch. And then getting everyone to buy the book at the same time frame. It was like a weekend time frame.
Okay.
But buying the right copy. So we wanted to make it a low hurdle. I want to put the book in as many people's hands as I can. I give the book away nonstop. But in order for that bestseller, let's just do something easy. So we made the digital copy, like buying the Kindle version.
Okay.
$3 on launch weekend.
Got it. Yeah, because I was going to buy like 100 books. I'm going to help Chad get this Amazon bestseller.
That's support.
And then you text me, hey dude, don't buy 100 books. We just have to buy one Kindle version. I was like, oh man, thank you. I had 100 in the cart ready to go. But
So,
okay.
like you said, you wanted to be in a size as far as 150 pages that someone can read relatively short. Was that tough to try to narrow it down to 150 pages? Because I think people see that and they look at a thick book and they're like, nah, probably not. But if they look at something that is manageable, they're more eager to read it, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there was a lot of topics that I wanted to include that ultimately we didn't, because we looked at the scope of the book and said, this is good information, but it doesn't really fit the entire narrative of what we're talking about. Or at least if it does, it's very advanced to maybe that's a separate topic for a second
Another
book.
book, yeah.
There we go. Are you thinking about writing a second book?
It's definitely crossed my mind. Now
Okay.
knowing what I know, the time frame behind it, the whole process, yeah, I might write a couple more on various topics that are a little bit outside of personal finance, or at least a little bit more specific. But But yeah, it's definitely crossed my mind.
It seems like this would be like a good starter book, like for people that are looking to get started after having read it. And then after you've read this, there might be like, oh, I'm interested. I've done those things. What now?
Yeah.
So, anyways.
And I've talked about that before, where it's almost an homage book to Dave Ramsey. There's a lot of basic personal finance steps that are in there, but it just takes it a step further with, now we're building wealth intentionally. What can we then do to further the kingdom of God? What can we do with generosity? How can we be better, more intentional givers? So that's kind of the foreground of the book, but then it's also the landscape for what's coming next.
I love the giving part, like the generosity blueprint. You hear a lot of people, a lot of focuses on how can I build my retirement, how can I build my investments, but the generosity piece is not always discussed. I know a guy, he is helping build wells in Africa. Like that's what his family is doing. So they're saving up, and I don't know the number. It's $50,000, maybe $70,000. But then they're able to build a well in Africa, and that well will help thousands of people, provide them with fresh water. That's a generosity component to his wealth creation. I know another guy who raises funds. He's actually going to be on the radio show here at some point in the near future. He's out traveling right now doing these types of activities where he is going and he's helping create wells or build schools or build homes. And it's not necessarily his money. He's helping raise the funds, but he is devoting a significant amount of his time, which you also go into the book. Like there's more ways to be generous than just money. Like time is another component of that, correct?
Yeah. Diving into whether that's time, talents, or your finances. Giving isn't just a one-sided coin there. There's a lot of different facets to it, and there's a lot of different ways that you can be generous.
So it seems like the first big hurdle that you have to overcome with people is for them to understand the importance of generosity. Before you even get to the blueprint, you have to get them to understand that it's important to be generous. So how do you do that with people? How do you get them to understand that, hey, in order to have a fruitful life, you have to be generous? Because most people, it's human nature to just think about ourselves, right? So how do you get them to get to that point where they're trying to figure out how can I be more generous?
Ideally, I wouldn't be the driver of that conversation. Hopefully they have the want to be more generous, and maybe I can help them get there. But for someone who just has never had a generous heart, they've never been a giver, they've never taken that step of faith, I have to point them back to the Bible. I have to point them back to certain books and point them back to God's word of what generosity looks like and why we're here to be generous. I can certainly help, but I'm certainly not the word on that.
Right. Sometimes it's got to be born inside, you know, and you can't necessarily convince someone. They have to convince themselves. They have to come to that conviction that they understand.
And sometimes it's a scarcity mindset. Like they're like, hey, I'm just trying to take care of myself. I don't have the means. Like like, the whole, what is it when you're flying on the plane and the oxygen masks come down? Like I got to put my oxygen mask on first before I can help somebody else. But
they're always in that mindset.
But they're always in that mindset.
Then they'll never do it.
Yeah,
you know?
You really, But once you do it, like so, the two ways, like depression is a thing that people are talking about right now, whether with kids, adults, whatever. I wouldn't say I'm a depressed person, but I have dark days. I have sad days, you know. And
you wear black a whole lot.
I wear black. Maybe if I stopped wearing black, you know, I wouldn't have so many. But what I have found personally to help me are two things. One, production. So getting out and doing something, like if it's just cleaning your house, cleaning the garage, washing your car, making the calls that you need to do, like an activity, working out, an activity helps with that rather than just sitting in that state. And then the other thing is being generous, like doing something for somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? If you're feeling down, depressed, whatever state you're in, and you take action and or are generous with somebody else, it's a state changer, and it lifts your mood because now you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about others. The people who are focused oftentimes on why they can't give, they're focused on themselves, not on others. And I mean, you go over that in the book, and it's just a great resource. But I'm so so thankful for having you on the show, man. Amazon bestseller. You're setting goals like bars that I hope to someday attain.
Just happy to be here.
All right, man. Well, hey, when we come back, we're going to be talking about the biggest money traps that people fall into.
Okay, so you're thinking about selling your home this summer, but you're feeling some reservations because you think it's going to be a long, complicated, stressful, overwhelming process. It doesn't have to be. When you call up my friend Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty, they'll give you at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. No need to get organized or do showings or open houses or do any of those costly home repairs. Just give Johnny Jennings a shot. He'll give you, again, at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. So what do? You just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. Again, Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings. Online at madeformorerealty.com.
Biggest money traps people fall into. One of them has to be, or it can't be, lottery tickets. Like that's a safe bet. You bet $2, a time.
Do you play the lottery? How often I'm just going to assume you do. How often do you play the lottery?
Oh, shoot, I don't know. Not often.
Not often.
No.
Only when it's over $1 billion. So are you one of those people?
Yeah, I mean, what's I'm not going to risk $2.
You know your chances of winning are less when you're playing for the big dollars, the $1 billion, than if you pay for the smaller prizes.
That's what they say. That's
when
what
everyone's
they say.
playing.
But yeah, I would say I probably spend. I'm trying to think of like an annual.
Yeah, there
budget.
you go. How much do you spend on lottery
annual
tickets
budget
every year?
So it's $2, I think, a ticket, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Sure.
Sure. You guys
have
don't
no idea.
know. You guys don't know. Apparently,
Be
you
honest.
don't play the lottery. So I probably spend maybe $200 a year. On
Wow,
lottery tickets.
$200.
So what is that, 20?
Even Jat's a little. Even Jat's a
It's
little
more than I would have
surprised.
thought.
Yeah, it's more than
Yeah.
I would have thought. I just don't understand. Like, why do you play it? You know your chances are so small that you'll win.
I can only speak to myself. I just think it's fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I'll drive down and I'll go, oh wow, look at all that. What if I won that? What would I do with that?
Yeah, it's
and then
true.
And then it turns into like a little thought experiment. And
So you play so you can fantasize. Oh, what if I had win $175 million? You can't win
I don't like the
unless
word
you play.
fantasize.
Those are the arguments I hear all
think
the
that's
time.
the wrong word. Is fantasize. I think I use it to dream.
To dream, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to burst your bubble. You can dream without playing.
You can dream without. That's not the same. You know what?
Dream something more practical is what I'm thinking.
So,
let's say.
But is that a money trap? Do people like really go hard on lottery tickets and?
I don't know that people go hard on lottery tickets, but it's certainly one way to throw away your money. Matt said it great. You can't win if you don't play. I would just say you can't win.
Yeah, there
The
you
statistics that you're going to win are so infinitesimally small.
I
But
think
you're
not gonna
saying,
win.
but you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance.
you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 types of people. There's people like Johnny who play once in a great while when the jackpot is really big. But there are people, and you've seen them, you go into the gas stations and they're just playing on a weekly basis. They're spending a lot of money because that's their only hope in life is if I win the lottery, that's all I got
Yeah,
going for me.
that's their one
and they
shot.
play continually. I see it. They'll spend like $30 and they're sitting there scratching it. And I don't know. I just think it's a waste.
$100. I just recalculated. $100 a year.
Now it's less.
Like
Okay.
max a year. That's you going in once a week, to buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
50 weeks out of the year, that's $100.
Yeah.
So maybe $100.
Okay.
Yeah. Just think
That's
what you
not
could do
that
with that $100 though.
Another thing
Is it worth it to dream for that $100?
Well, I don't know.
I don't mean to dwell on this one. I'm just super passionate about it. I just don't understand it. You might as well just give, next time you're going to buy a lottery ticket, you want to, just give me the money. I'll go buy your lottery ticket for you and you can dream. How about
There
that?
There you go.
Wait, if I win the lottery, I'm not telling anybody, but there will be signs. Have you guys seen those memes?
Yeah.
Like big semi truck or a
Johnny will not be
golden
showing up
toilet.
for the show.
Yeah.
Why did Johnny show up for the? Oh, did he win?
You'll never know. You'll never know.
So what are some other money traps?
Besides, so obviously the lottery tickets we discussed, Starbucks is a thing.
Starbucks is a money trap?
I would say so.
I mean, it's expensive for something that most people could make on their own, but it depends on what you're getting.
But let's get serious. So what are some serious money traps? What are some things people should avoid?
Sure. Matt touched on a great one a minute ago, was looking over timeshares.
Oh, yeah.
Timeshares can be a horrendous money trap because you're signing up for something with an open end. There's terms that you don't know about. There's loopholes in the contracts that do not work to your favor. You're going to end up paying maintenance fees that have a question mark on them. You don't know what those are going to cap out at. And this all is on the premise that you're going to go take the same vacation year after year after year.
Yeah, I don't understand the timeshares. I really just do not understand how they work. I just know I've been trapped in timeshare.
You have yourself?
Yeah, like it's like, hey, I've been at resorts and it's like, come by and win this free trip or this free excursion. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, I want to run the free excursion. This is better than buying a lottery ticket.
Right.
You know? My odds are better. And I go in and it's like a 2 hour and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? You know? But so basically the benefit to people that they think they're going to receive is a discounted vacation. Is that what it is?
A discounted vacation, or it's this idea that you are, even though you don't own anything, you could be a partial owner of something, whether that's a cabin in Aspen or whether that's a condo in Mexico. It's having some kind of vacation ownership, like you have more than you have today. Mm-hmm. The reality is you don't. You just have a contract that says you are able to rent something for a certain amount of days per year. That comes with a lot of, again, hurdles to jump over. But at the end of the day, you don't actually have anything. Mm. And you have to continuously pay for this vacation. End of the story, you end up taking that vacation, you end up paying about 4 to 8 times more than you would have if you just booked a vacation.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because you're paying for this thing every single month, or one annual big chunk payment for all the maintenance, everything that goes on with a timeshare, whether or not you took the vacation.
Okay. So if I win the lottery, don't buy timeshares?
No.
Don't buy timeshares. What else should I not do if I win the lottery? What are some other money traps?
Sure. So there's a lot of different areas where people feel pressured to put, lottery's a great concept, to put lump sums of money or make large payments of something. And this could be things like whole life insurance or annuities.
So whole life, how is that different from term? Because I know Dave Ramsey's a big proponent of term, mm-hmm. right? What's the difference? Sure.
So whole life is, you think of it like the opposite of term. Term is a fixed period of time where you are insured. It's a 15-year term, a 20-year term. Whole life is where it's lasting your whole life, in which you probably don't need insurance. I don't need insurance that's protecting the loss of my income if I passed, so that my wife still has financial stability when I'm 90 years old and we no longer are working to provide an income. I no longer need that insurance.
So are you with the whole life, is it a monthly premium that never goes away?
That's where it starts to get more flexible, is they start offering all these different flavors. Then they call it a different package, they call it a different type of policy, but it's the same kind of thing at the end of the day. And it's extremely overpriced insurance with a built-in savings component, like you're bundling something, and that savings component just has a really bad rate of return. National averages on a whole life policy, that savings component, mm-hmm. it's the most attractive part of the whole thing. Oh, it's an investment inside my insurance. Mm-hmm. The average annual rate of return is between 1.5% and 2%.
Dang.
Which is horrible.
You're not even keeping up with inflation.
No, you're not keeping up with inflation. It's less than most bonds. It's 1/5 the average or less of the long-term return of the stock market. It's a terrible investment.
Why do people purchase? Like, why would somebody purchase a whole life? Like, what? It seems like it's been pretty well documented that these are not good financial, mm-hmm. Choices. But why do people continue to purchase them? Like, what's the hook there?
They are very high-pressured sales products, and so the people that are selling them, either they don't know exactly what they're selling, or they do know and they're fine with politely ripping people off.
Do you get paid more?
Oh, yeah. You get paid an extremely high commission, much more than you do on any other insurance product type.
Okay, so that's why they're pushing these.
Huge bonuses. Whatever one might make from selling a term policy, it's more like 7 to 10 times more commission for that salesperson.
Wow.
And so because it has this much higher commission payout, I feel it could be incorrectly sold. And that's not to say it's a terrible thing. Whole life exists. It's a vehicle for a solution, but it's often misrepresented. and therefore it's put forth as the wrong vehicle for that solution that someone needs.
Okay. So whole life, bad. Term, good. What's an annuity? Where do annuities fall in all this?
Sure. So annuities, it can kind of be thought of as an insurance product or a structure. The idea is that you're putting money in so that you're getting income out. Whether that's building up over a lifetime, making payments every month into something, or putting a bunch of money in one lump sum, like if you were to win the lottery, there's an idea that's there.
What are you putting the money into though? Like, is it going into like stocks, bonds? Like
most cases, you are typically buying an insurance product. You're buying an insurance policy, and you're getting a fixed interest rate. There can be good ways to put that together, but in most cases, they're unnecessary for what someone's needs are. We often see them missold rather than
properly utilized.
Properly educating people on what they are.
Got it. And so if somebody wants to reach out to you, they have questions about this, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. ThriveStewardship.com is the best way, or they can always call in. We're happy to get you an appointment, have a consultation, have a conversation about anything that you might have questions on. 916-790-9907.
Wonderful. And hey, and if you have any questions, you're like, man, who is that Chad guy, the financial advisor? You can just reach out to us as well at madeformorerealty.com, and we'll get you connected. When we come back, I'd like to ask you some questions about student loan debt.
I only know of one person who's willing to give you at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. Only one in the greater Sacramento. Again, at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. No need to do showings, open houses, organizations, or those costly home repairs. Again, 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. What do? You just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings. Online at madeformorerealty.com.
Student loans, man, they're definitely a topic of conversation, at least in my world, because a lot of people have student loans. Like, home affordability is already a challenge with interest rates where they're at, where prices where they're at, and then you layer on now people are having to start repaying back these student loans. Like, can I even afford it? And the stats say yes. Many instances you can. Like, there's like 35% of home buyers, first-time home buyers, have student loans, and then move-up buyers have student loans. Like, there's definitely ways to go about it. So you're not 100% out of luck, but this is an anchor around many families' necks, these student loans. So Chad, when it comes to student loans, like let's say somebody gets a job and the job is providing them with quarterly or annual bonuses, or maybe they've worked a lot of overtime, should they take that extra money that maybe they weren't counting on, or the extra money beyond what they need, should they apply that towards their student loans to pay them down faster? Or should they start investing in whatever investment vehicle, real estate, mutual funds, whatever it is, stocks, Bitcoin? Should they invest, or should they pay down their student loans? Which would be the correct course of action?
I'm glad that you only gave me 2 options there, because I feel like the popular one would be, well, now I need a new car because I have the bonus money, or now we need to go on that big vacation.
Got to get that Rolex.
There you go. So let's stick in that relevant topic area. I would much rather see someone apply that money towards their debt. When they're putting that money towards an investment while they still have debt, picture a bucket. And if you're making that investment, you're trying to fill up this bucket. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to get a bucket full when you have a hole in the bottom and everything's just draining right out the bottom. Mm-hmm. So if you can go first and pay off that debt, all you're doing is patching the hole in that bucket, so that when you get prepared for the next stage of life to be investing, when that time comes, when you're out of debt, now you're able to actually fill that bucket with meaning, because it's not just all going out the back end from debt payments.
I like that analogy. Just, go through your life, do an audit of your life, and find out where are the holes at. Where are the holes in that bucket that are draining?
Oh man, I got lots of holes.
I know. It's true. It's true. There are some holes that just, there's no way you can fix them. But
Like you got to buy the lotto ticket. I got to buy that lotto ticket every
That'll
week.
patch some holes.
Yeah,
That's one hole you can patch
that's
up.
a little
you know?
hole. Yeah.
But I just like that analogy. You know. Think
Another
about,
thing too.
are
is,
there holes that you can patch up that are unnecessarily draining your wealth build? You know.
Absolutely. Because part of it is, hey, am I building? And part of it is like the first rule of, I think, building wealth. I forget who said it. Maybe it was Carnegie. Maybe it was Rockefeller. I think it was Warren Buffett. He said the first rule of getting wealthy, don't lose money.
Yep.
Right? And if you're losing money by paying out student loans, and many of those loans, if I'm correct, have an interest rate around 7 to 8%. So they're not like crazy credit card interest rates, but it's really hard to do better than 7 or 8% in the open market. So you're really not. Is
that true? Yeah. Is that how much they are?
A lot of them are starting to see that interest rate amount. Years ago, they were lower, like 4 to 5%, but it's very common for me to sit down with folks now and look at what they have. And yeah, their interest rates are in the 7s on their student loans. And it's also with a 6-figure student loan.
Yeah.
So it's 7% on $100,000. I mean, this is $7,000 a year just to pay the interest.
Just the interest. Yeah. So anyways, so your suggestion would be to pay off the student loans. And then once they're paid off, then start investing and going about building wealth.
Yeah. So if we tackle that just real quickly, thinking about the steps and the order in which we do those things, paying off all debt. So anything that's non-mortgage debt. So whether that's car loans, whether that's personal loans, student loans, tackling those things first, then build yourself a small emergency fund, then start really focusing in on the investing side of things. Not when you get a bonus, but making that a normal rhythm of life.
Yeah.
Out of every paycheck, out of every budget.
What do you say to people who will argue, well, just being an American, that's just the way it is. Everyone has debt, and that's just the way every person goes through life. Everybody has debt, and I'm no different than everyone else.
I'd say that's a mindset of feeling like it's okay to be normal. And I want to be average, and I don't want to be better. Well, a lot of kids go through school and they get C's, but you know what? A lot of kids are also capable of getting A's. Mm-hmm. So do you want to be an A student or do you want to be a C student? And you get to make that choice every day when you wake up.
C's get degrees, man.
No, I think it's D's get degrees.
D's get degrees. Yeah. No, yeah.
No, but it's true. I mean, debt is just from people, because luckily we're not in any debt, thankfully, because my wife is just good at financing. But
I can help you with that.
What?
I can help put you in
Get
debt.
into more debt?
Yeah.
Play the lottery more often?
Yeah.
But I have been in debt, and it's just a weight. And I mean, the freedom that you can experience just in life by tackling that is just a new level of living that I think everyone should experience. Just that it's just overwhelming. It's more than just the tangible financial part of it. It's the emotional and mental stress that is poured on top of you when you're thinking about that. It's chains that are locking you down.
And whether you're thinking about it proactively every day or it's just rattling around in the back of your mind, you feel the weight of those shackles every day.
Yeah.
And slowly you start to pay those things off and you pay off the vehicle. Now you don't have a monthly car payment.
Right.
Even if you're not thinking about it, subconsciously, the weight of those shackles just got a lot lighter.
You're thinking about it either way, whether you have debt or whether you're worried about paying off the debt or not. Those people are thinking about it. It seems like the people who, debt is just a way of life, have given up on. They just given up on the possibility of changing that way of life.
Right. Maybe that's it.
They feel a little helpless.
Like there's no hope. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, it's not easy. It's not. If it was easy, nobody would have debt, right?
Sure.
But I guess the question would be, is it worth it? That's probably the question they're asking. Is it worth it? And
I think part of it is our culture and our society. People don't want to do hard things.
Yeah.
And getting out of debt is hard. And it's challenging.
I would say
it's easy to just go. If you can't afford something, it's easy to just give a credit card and say, "Hey, I'll pay for it. I'll figure it out later." This makes me feel good now.
For those people who are thinking about getting out of debt, I would say getting out of debt is easier than staying out of debt. I would say that because
that's interesting. Explain that.
So if you get out of debt, And then it's very easy to slip back into old habits or to have life hit you upside the head. Like maybe you had an emergency fund, but maybe it wasn't enough for what ended up happening. Like, so it's like losing weight. You can lose the weight, but can you keep the weight off? And so that's the other side of that debt reduction coin, is keeping the weight off. But speaking of keeping the weight off, there's a lot of stuff rolling around in this big beautiful bill that Trump keeps talking about, and one of them is moving. I forget what it's called. Forced depreciation down up from 60 to 100%, and it just sounds like an incredible tax advantage where anybody can now go in and buy a property. Let's say they want to invest in real estate, buy a property, and then put that money down. So let's say they put 20% down. Instead of paying that money to taxes, they can use this forced depreciation option and really recoup that money. So rather than paying the government, so here's an example. Let's say you buy a $500,000 residential unit. $400,000 is the building. $100,000 is in the land. You can't depreciate the land. So cost segregation, do a cost segregation study, and you find that $100,000 of that building is in short-term life assets. So you can depreciate up to 60% of those, 60% currently of that $100,000. I know a lot of numbers within year one. So now all of a sudden, you just saved yourself $60,000 in taxes. If the big beautiful bill goes through, it could go up to 100%. And so now you're investing in yourself rather than paying taxes. So that's a pretty interesting strategy. Chad, are there any other like tax saving type strategies that you recommend your clients use?
There are a lot of different options out there in which people can save on taxes, and it really depends on what applies to them with where they're at today, their savings vehicles that they can use. And so we'll just go into like maybe two of them to keep it very simple.
Okay.
Today, you can put money into a pre-tax account, like a 401k or an IRA. This helps your taxes today, and there's a benefit there. The downside is that money then grows tax deferred. You walk into retirement. As you unwind from that, you're taking money from that investment. Now you're going to pay the taxes on that money on the way out. So you're putting money in every month. You got a tax deduction of whatever you put in, $20,000 a year, $30,000 a year. You're then getting a tax break. That's helpful. Now that money grows over time, now you're in retirement and you're taking out tens of thousands a year for your living costs. The purpose of funding the account, why you did it in the first place.
Yep.
And you're paying the income taxes back out. It's a double-edged sword. It's helpful on one side, but it's going to get you on the other side. It comes down to everyone's personal financial situation and whether or not that makes sense, their tax brackets. And so it's never a one-size-fits-all recommendation. Most people really end up being more benefited by going with a Roth option. There's no tax benefit today, but that money grows over time and it's 100% tax-free come retirement, with a lot of other benefits too.
So the growth is tax-free as well.
Correct. But an entirely different concept, what is called direct indexing. And this is not buying index funds or, buying any like a ticker symbol for a mutual fund or anything like that.
EXP stock?
This is directly owning the stocks that would make up an index. And so on any given day, maybe Apple goes up, but maybe Walmart goes down. Well, the index didn't really do much, but when Walmart goes down and you can sell that at a loss and then move over and buy Target, they're both retailers, they both sell a lot of the similar products. Their experience over a market cycle might look the same with ups and downs. But this means you got to take the loss on paper without necessarily losing the money. So over a long period of time, you can still get growth from this type of investment, just like being in the overall stock market, but you're strategically taking these losses on paper every time they occur, and it can be extremely valuable.
So let's say you have $100,000 in this account. It goes down, you lose 10%, so you lost $10,000. You still have the same number of shares, it's just their value's gone down.
their values have changed. And let's just think about that again. Like, okay, maybe Apple went up and Microsoft went up, but only Walmart went down. The ones that go up, you're not selling. The ones that go down, you're swapping out. When you do that, you realize the loss. You get to take that loss on paper, and it carries forward forever. So an average $1 million portfolio that's exercising this activity in a 4-year period, whether the market's good or bad, it's an average 4-year run. You'll average 10% per year over the long term. But in that 4-year period, $1 million, you captured $250,000 of losses that don't just get collected that year. They sit there until you're ready to go ahead and claim them.
Oh, okay. So they're just sitting, and there's no expiration date on this?
Yeah, and you can start to use them. You're limited on how much you can cash in per year. But then let's say down the road, maybe you want to exit some real estate, and you're working with someone like Johnny, and you decide, hey, I'm going to sell this rental, and it has a gain on it. Well, now you've stacked up all these losses that can cancel out your gain and make that sale tax-free.
Interesting. Has this always been around, or is this a newer thing?
Hypothetically, it's always been around, but it's been coming more into common practice. We've been putting it into practice a bit for the last couple of years, and a lot of our higher net worth clients are utilizing this to strategically exit certain positions, to offset the sale of stocks they've held for years, to offset the gain from real estate that they chose to exit. But it's just a way that you can still participate and get growth over the long term, but then you're stacking up these losses to use at some point that you wouldn't have otherwise had access to.
Man, you're taking lemons and making lemonade with those losses. That's freaking cool.
Yep.
I'd never heard of that. That's why you're the financial advisor and I'm the realtor. Man, if you want more financial advice from Chad Francis, just go to thrivestewardship.com.
You got it, thrivestewardship.com.
And then do we have more time, Matt?
Yeah, we have time.
All right.
We'll do another segment.
Yep. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about the T word. I am not talking about tariffs. Chad has made it very clear he does not want to talk about tariffs. We're going to talk about trusts and how they can help save you some money.
Okay, so you're thinking about selling your home this summer, but you're feeling some reservations because you think it's going to be a long, complicated, stressful, overwhelming process. It doesn't have to be. When you call up my friend Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty, they'll give you at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. No need to get organized or do showings or open houses or do any of those costly home repairs. Just give Johnny Jennings a shot. He'll give you, again, at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. So what do? You just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. Again, Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings online at madeformorerealty.com.
So Chad, I'd say we're good friends. Would you agree?
I mean, I would hope so at this point.
At this point, yeah. Well, so I got to tell you this story. I had the craziest massage the other day.
I don't think that's something you should be telling
you
other
don't
people.
You don't want to hear it on the radio? No, it was. I've never had a massage like this before. It was crazy, and the reason why it was crazy, like I've had some painful massages before, but this lady was like I was sweating. I thought I was going to vomit. I was going to make a fool of myself.
So, okay. So many questions right from the get-go. Is this a place that you have frequented before?
Nope, never been there before.
Okay, new person, new location, so you didn't know what you were in for.
Well, a buddy told me to be prepared. But what was crazy was he had shoulder pain, and she was working on his hips, and his shoulder pain went away. And she said because of how stuff's connected. And I was like, dude, I'm having shoulder pain. Maybe I can go in and see her. And very, very, very booked up. Like she told me it'd be like 3 months. But if she had a cancellation, then she'd let me know.
Wow.
And so she had a cancellation, and I went in. And man, it was brutally painful. But I walked out. So normally get a little nerdy on you. So I'm training for that Ironman. I have a trainer, a bike trainer. So basically, for those people who don't know what a bike trainer is, it's basically your bike with the back tire off, plugged into this electric motor.
Yeah.
And it kind of provides resistance and it simulates you riding on the road. And the app that goes with it it'll tell me what I think it's a wattage is, functional power threshold. I don't know, whatever it is. But normally I'm between 150 and 175 over like the course of like an hour, 90 minutes. And after having this massage, this crazy massage, it bumped up from like 200 to 225.
There you go.
Like just because of the blood flow and
wow, that's incredible.
I know, it was like she's incredible. Yeah, she's amazing.
So you'll be back.
100%. I'm like, when can I come back? And she's like, well, keep the appointment that's a couple months out, you know. And if
but it was
changes,
painful while she was doing it.
So painful.
And you didn't speak up or say anything.
I tried not to. I think I did squirm involuntarily once, but I was proud that it only happened once.
So was it like pressure on the muscles, or was it more like alignment, like a chiropractor would do?
Not alignment, not like a chiropractor. It was like if you Google or YouTube painful massage videos, it was exactly that. She wasn't using like a metal, like they call it I think a blade, like blading. She wasn't doing that. It was her elbows and her fingers and stuff. But
wow. The
most painful part, I did not. So I thought my calves were gonna hurt. I thought my shoulder was gonna hurt. I thought my neck would hurt. But I did not expect my left quad. That is where she got me. That's why I squirmed involuntarily, like going from like the knee up to the hip. Like I don't know what she was pushing on, but it hurt like a big dog. And I was full on sweating. Like, but what does this have to do with real estate? Nothing.
I know where you're going with this.
But you know I'm going with this?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of painful, kind of like the tariff situation right now. Right? So basically, Gloria is like Trump. Gloria's the massage therapist, and Trump's the president. And I don't know. I know you're sick and tired of talking about this.
So you're saying similar to your massage, it's painful for a little while in the short term, but in the long run, it's going to make everything function and flow a whole lot better, and you're going to feel better.
I think so. But that's my little John A. Realtor's opinion. What are you seeing, Chad?
I would say that I mostly agree with that. It is long term, hopefully going to have a very positive outcome, but today it just has a very rip the Band-Aid off feel because it was so jarring. It was too much, too fast. And a lot of people just weren't prepared for that, whether they were fearful, whether they were scared, whether they were uncomfortable, whatever the feelings behind it. It has caused a lot of mixed emotions on it. And so I have a lot of people that wanted to contact me that were panicked.
Yeah.
And I had some people that were panicked in the opposite direction.
What do you mean?
They were almost kind of excited. They were looking at that as opportunistic, and we saw an immediate reaction in the stock market through the whole tariff actions. The market took a temporary dip. Some people were panicked by this. I had more people that were calling me frantically wanting to put money into the market to buy the dip.
Sure.
Oh, that's interesting. I have not heard a whole lot of people doing that.
And so there was a mixed bag of emotions there, some on the fear side, some on the excitement side.
So when somebody's scared like that, what do you tell them? What do you recommend to them?
It is unfortunately the hardest to hear advice because everyone wants a fix. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling this, therefore fix my feeling or make me feel normal again. You go to the doctor because something's ailing you, please fix this, prescribe something, surgically remove something, whatever you need to do, make me feel normal again. Mm-hmm. The best advice when things like that are happening, more often than not, is to take a step back, rethink what your long-term goals are, and how is this affecting you today? You're not retiring 2 weeks from today, likely. Therefore, don't be concerned about what's happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
Be thinking about, well, how does this affect me a year from now, 5 years from now, 15 years from now? Because these things, these pullbacks in the market, they're not uncommon. What we saw through April, we see that almost every 1.5 to 2 years.
So for earlier in another segment, you were talking about how you can claim those losses and like shelve them and use them at a different time. Mm-hmm. With what happened with the tariffs, is that something that your clients can use? Like, are the losses based off of like a January to December, or is it based off of a different period of time? Like, how could people use that to their advantage?
Sure. A lot of those losses, when they want to capitalize on them, are based off of when they were purchased.
Okay.
So let's say all I ever did was I bought one share of company X, and I bought it back in 2015. Well, relative to today, it's significantly up.
Got it.
Even through the last several weeks when things took a dive and then ultimately recouped completely, through that dive, the bottom of that trough in April 8th, well, that's still significantly higher than it was a decade ago. And so there's not really anything to capitalize on in losses there.
Okay, so it's just if they've lost on it while owning it, you can claim the loss.
Since that purchase time, yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, so probably not a whole lot of people that are going to be able to do that.
There were some rotations that were able to take place, but it depends again on everyone's investment path. If they were dumping in a lump sum a decade ago, or if they're making ongoing regular deposits into these account types. And I'll clarify, it's not for every account type. It's not a 401k. They're not even offered there. It's not an IRA because those are tax sheltered. These are open taxable accounts, like a joint account or a trust account.
Okay, good to know. Before we get into trusts, I do want to say, like, the conversation that you're having with your clients right now about the dip is very similar to the conversations I'm having often with sellers right now. Like, it is absolutely heart-wrenching. I was in the last 5 days, I've had 3 of these conversations. One, a lady bought the house. She wanted to have a good place for her family. Something's clearly happening in her life. I don't know the details. But since buying the house, they also got a second loan out and made some repairs and did some stuff to the home. And now she's essentially upside down on the home. Another lady bought a house, and it was a new build, and there's just so many issues with the new build. She wants out of it, like crazy things. Like, she bought it 3 months ago, and the pipe has burst, the AC has gone out, the hot water heater has stopped working. Wow. Like crazy things for a brand new home. And she wants out, but it's like, hey, you just bought the house a few months ago. You're not going to be able to recoup the costs of selling and then buy another home. And then I forget what the third person was, but the third person was they're going through a divorce. They bought the house. I thought they'd be there for a while. Life took a different path, and now they're potentially going to have to come out of pocket to sell. So these are things outside my control. I wasn't there when you bought the house. I'm there right now, and I don't have control over what the market is saying that your house is worth. Like, I have zero control over that. But you're right; they are very hard conversations to have. And the approach that we take with Made for More and our clients is we want to be honest with our clients. Say, hey, this is the landscape. I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. I'm here to help you. I can walk you through it. I can give you best possible options. But this is the situation, whereas many realtors will tell them what they want to hear. In fact, one of those people, the realtor told them what they wanted to hear, and they listed their home way, way, way too high, and they had it listed for over a year, and it never sold. Wow. And so now they've been paying on this home. They've been paying the maintenance. They've been dealing with, the situation for a year longer than they would have needed to if the realtor would have been honest with them up front. Because at the end of the day, I say be honest. I don't think it's real estate. It's not rocket science. The value of a home, like when the homeowners are telling you, hey, I think you're overpricing my home, that's a good indicator that, hey, the home is overpriced. But yeah, very, very, very similar situations, both, it seems, in the financial markets and real estate market right now, because the market, I would say, in the Sacramento region is starting to decline. I would say that. I'm not saying it's the same for everybody, but sellers are going to have to be, if the trend continues, sellers are going to have to become accustomed to hearing that their house is now worth less than what their neighbor's house sold for a year or two ago, which is not, again, what people want to hear, but it's the truth. So as we're wrapping this up, in 30 seconds or less-ish, why should somebody have a trust? Like, do you have a story of somebody who had a trust or that didn't have a trust and should have had a trust?
I feel that a trust is a very good way to go about estate planning and protecting your family, but also helping and facilitating if you were to pass away.
Unexpectedly?
Yeah. Well, and even later in life, we're all going to pass away at some point. Having things lined up so that your family does not have to jump through so many hoops, and so much of your estate does not have to go out in fees and taxes and costs, so that your beneficiaries can keep more of that money. One example is a sad one. This gentleman did not have a living trust, but a step further than that, he never completed his beneficiary assignment. And so he did not place a beneficiary on a retirement account and therefore it could not transition to that person when he did unexpectedly pass. And he was not older, he was in his 50s. Wow. And so that was very untimely. He didn't complete the assignment and thought, it's no big deal, I'll get to it later. And later never came.
Oh, man, that's heartbreaking because that happens so many times. And I just recently learned that you don't even have to go through probate. The approach won't even take it on if it's like under, $190,000 or less?
Sure. So under certain circumstances and sizes of estate, there's a small estate affidavit that you can go through. But surprisingly, it's hard to qualify for that. And so if you have a home, it's not the equity of the home, it's the value of the home itself. So if you live in Sacramento area and you have a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000+ home, you're automatically disqualified from that.
Yeah. So just get the trust, get them in place. What's the typical trust cost?
Typical trusts out there that I've been hearing lately, because I always like to gauge folks if they've gone elsewhere to get a trust.
Yeah.
And it's tacky to ask, but I got to know, hey, how much did this cost? What did this run you? To make sure that we're staying as fair and competitive as possible. But it seems like the average is running anywhere between $3,500 to $5,000 for an estate plan.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That seems high.
I felt so too, but we tend to run quite a bit less. So when we do estate planning and we're assembling a living trust with everything that comes with it, all the powers of attorney, moving your primary residence into the name of the trust for you, setting up things for your beneficiaries, putting together a map so your beneficiaries understand all of the assets, where they're at, so that it's very functional and easy, is $2,200.
$2,200. Yep. I recently read the average cost of probate is $30,000. That's just the average cost. Could be more, could be less, but $2,200 for peace of mind. Reach out to Chad, thrivestewardship.com. Get that right. And then, of course, you can always reach out to us anytime. Just Google Made for More Realty. And we'd be happy to connect you with Chad. Chad, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Amazon bestseller. Next time you're going to be on maybe New York Times bestseller.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful?
Let's go.